Hi, class. I hope you all are doing great and you all are very excited since this is the last week of class for the term. Yeah, even though I'm smiling, I'm not very excited. I wish we could have had another week. I wish this term was like 10 weeks, not 9. And in fact, one of the best chapter I would say like my favorite chapter, Metaphysics, what is real. And I want us to speak and to address. And unfortunately, I won't be able to do it the way we intended to do it. But I still want to do this micro lecture for you so you can at least have an idea about this chapter. And by the way, I want to take advantage to thank each of you for all of your hard work. I was really impressed, very impressed, with like your essays, your discussions, your case studies. It was very, and I said from my last email, you guys are one of my best groups so far, and I meant it. You work really hard, and I know it was a chaotic situation for everyone, not only for you students, but also for us as instructors, as some of us were not ready to have an online class for this term. With the coronavirus situation, we had to really change everything and start from scratch. And so now let's focus on really this chapter, metaphysics. So what does this word mean when you say metaphysics? I'm pretty sure some of you will say like, yeah, it's a part of mathematics, metaphysics, science. Yeah, but in philosophy, it's a different connotation. It's not even different. It's a unique word for philosophy when you say metaphysics. Metaphysics studies what is real. And when you say what is real, I remember like when I read some of your essays, stuff like that, which is okay. You can, as long as you can defend your position, your argument, I'm okay with that. So some of you said like the reality, what is real is only things that you can perceive with your senses. That means things you can hear, things you can touch, things you can smell, things you can see, all of that. And the question is, how is this everything that is this everything that you can perceive only exist, or there's only things that you can there's only thing that you can see, you can touch, you can smell, you can hear exist, or there is other things that exist too? And now the question is, sometimes, or not even sometimes, more often, we talk about freedom, we talk about love, we talk about justice, we talk about truth, as we saw from like this class. We address a lot of topics. We address the topics of truth. We address the topic of knowledge. And can you tell me the fact that you cannot touch freedom, you cannot smell freedom, you cannot hear freedom, you cannot, touch freedom, you cannot see it. Because of that, can you tell me it does not exist? No, you cannot tell me it does not exist. It exists. But how does it exist? It exists from comprehension, from a way to process things, not of senses, a way to perceive things. You see, from the way we can comprehend the reality, not the way we can perceive the reality. Perception with our senses, comprehend with our mind. That's the two different ways you can see the reality. There are things you can know they exist by your senses, by touching, by experience. And there are other things you know they exist, not because you perceive them, but because you comprehend them, you understand them with your mind. As I said, justice, it is not something you can touch, it's not something you can hear, it's not something you can see, it's not something you can smell, but you can comprehend it. That means it exists, and not in a physical manner, but it exists as an idea, a concept. That makes you understand that it is not only thing you can perceive that exists. There are other things that you cannot perceive, but that still exist. You got me? Great. So now let's start with metaphysics. What is real? With metaphysics, that's where we're getting really what you can touch, what your senses can really like, what you can perceive, put you in a situation to have what we call the continuum. I will call it like the metaphysical continuum. That means it came from really what is physical that you can perceive with your senses to what you cannot touch or you cannot see, you cannot smell. What we call idealism, from materialism, what you can touch, for example, this book, to what you cannot perceive with your senses. And then we call this idealism. Between what you can perceive with your senses, what we call materialism, and what you can comprehend with your mind, what we call idealism, you have something in the middle that we call like, how we call it? Dualism. That means in the continuum of, in the metaphysical continuum, you have three theories that allow you to know what is real in your existence. And I cannot say what is real with your perception, but I say with your existence. That means I try to let you know it is not only with your perception you can know something exists. Do you get me? It's not only with your hands, if your smell, if your ear, if your eyes. It's not only with that you can know that something exists, but you can also know that something exists with your mind. As we said, justice, we never touch justice. Truth, you never touch, you never see it. You got it? Okay, great. So now the physical continuum. We have like the first thing I said, everything that is mechanic, everything that is really physical, you can touch, you can perceive, I would say. They are a part of what we call materialism. But the word materialism has the common sense. What do you understand when someone tell you, I'm a materialist person? Of course, what will come first in your mind, that means that, oh, this person is really attached to really the things that he has, or the thing that they have, I mean. And there again, you will see, oh, yeah, I cannot be a materialist person if I don't have really the tendency to really take for myself what I have, what I own, what I have in my possession. But in philosophy, it's a different connotation. And philosophy, when you say someone is materialist, it does not mean this person is attached to what is physical, to what he has, to what he has, to what they, I can say, to what they have, to what they are really attached to. But in philosophy, when you say someone is materialist, that means, or when I will not even say someone is materialist, a philosopher is a material, or you're a materialist philosopher. That means that you perceive the reality with your senses. And according to you, the reality is made of energy, of molecules, of atoms. That means me as a human being, I am made of energy and atoms. And everything that is around me are made of energy, of atoms, of molecules. And there the problem will come up. And those things you cannot see, or you don't have any molecules or any atoms. What will you do with them? We'll leave this for later to really show the limit of the materialism, I would say, like theory, theory for like the for the metaphysical theory. And then like there, they told me, or or a philosopher, materialist philosopher, will tell me, uh, I am made of atoms. I don't have any problem with that. And atoms' energy make me give me the opportunity, the capacity, the liability to move, to do action, to thought. It's because of like the process between like the energy and the atoms. And there you will ask yourself, as I already said at the beginning, there is no way you can see injustice. There is like atoms, they are atoms, they are molecules, they are energy. Justice is just justice. It's just a concept. And you say, of course, yeah, that's the same thing for freedom. There's no atoms in freedom, there's no molecules, there's no energy, but it exists. How will know those things that I can comprehend with my rationality? How I can make sure they exist if I'm a materialist philosopher? That means that they're limited. They can tell you everything are made of energy, which is okay. But when you try to understand, it is not everything. There are other things that also exist, but does not have energy. That's not made of energy. That's not made of, I would say, like atoms, and that's the limit too. And you will see in the materialist continuum, inside them they have like other way they see the reality. You see, there's like what we call the strict materialists that tell you life is nothing but a complicated physiochemical process. Physiochemical process, that means that it's a physiology and chemistry that allows you to see everything that you are seeing or everything that you can perceive. I will have a question mark here again. That means if human does not, if me as a human being, I don't exist anymore, or there is no human beings in the world anymore, what will happen with those physiochemical process, or there is no lives like you see animals? What will happen? That means life will stop existing, in the sense that they will not have any physiochemical, because they will not have physiology. They will not have really beings. When I say beings, of course, a rock is a being. And I mean, like, when I say beings, in a way to say, like, beings that are alive, like really the animal, like the plant, like me. And if there is no such beings, life will stop, or the world or everything will stop existing, because there will be no physio chemistry process anymore, since there will be no life. You get it? Okay, now let's talk about really. There's another one. They usually say it's like the modern materialism. The materialism is like it tell you that everything is made of energy, and the space-time is the basic of the reality. Energy, space, time is the basic of what we call the reality. That means you can't talk about the reality because you have what we call energy. Without energy, there is no reality. And there again, they are all limited. And I don't want to repeat myself. The limitation is, it is not just only energy that can produce energy that exists. And I already said it, and I gave you some example. And then that was really somehow in a summary matter what we can talk about materialism, which is like the first part of the metaphysical continuum. As I said, the metaphysical continuum came from the what you can perceive, what are really physical, what we can, to what you cannot perceive but you can comprehend. That means the idealism. You use your mind. Now, in the middle, when I say in the middle, from materialism to idealism, you have something in the middle that we call dualism. What is dualism? Let's see. What dualism let us understand? Differently to let's talk about idealism first. I think if we talk about idealism, you will give you a better perspective, a better note, I would say like open mind or like idea regarding what we can talk idealism. Okay, idealism. Uh, it's where you believe that, when I say believe, a philosopher believes that everything that he can comprehend, he can perceive, they are all from the mind. And this that you understand, this remind you one of the philosopher that we addressed at the beginning of this class. You remember what I'm talking about? Plato. Plato, with the theory of the forms. According to him, like what is real are the ideas, and what you can see, what you can perceive, they are just image. They don't exist. Everything is in your mind. That was Plato. And then the idealist philosopher, it's mostly according to him, everything that you can really comprehend, perceive, even the book, it's just in your mind. You have the mindset, you have the concept of book in your mind, and every time you see something that correspond with the idea that you have about the book, and you call this thing book. And this come back to the chapter 4 that we saw last week. Chapter 4 told you there are not only three, but the three main ways you can know, you can learn, you can know something. You remember when you talk about that? We talk about empiricism, you talk about rationalism, and you talk about the scientific method. You remember that? Empiricism, stuff like that. And when I talk about like in your mind, every time you, with the idealism, every time you see something that really look like a book, because in your mind you have this concept of book and you have the form, you have everything for the book, you correspond this thing to the idea of book that you have in your mind. And when I go back to chapter 4, I wanted to go back to chapter 3 too. In chapter 3, we see how what is truth. You see, you can learn something is true, whether, and I will tell you, you remember very well, maybe you more updated than me, by correspondence view. That means something you correspond in your mind. You have this, for example, you have the idea of plane. Wherever you will go, you will see something that corresponds to the idea of plane that you have in your mind. Even though you go to the moon, you go to Mars, you will exactly say this is a plane, because in your mind this is what you have like ID for plane. Or it's the same thing for book. That's the theory of truth by correspondence. We saw this in chapter 3. And you remember, there is truth to you can learn by coherence. You remember that? Yeah, but that's just to let you know where we came from with all of what. I wanted to make sure that this last micro video will be a summary of everything that we saw during this term. So like we go to chapter 3 talking about the theory of truth, and we have like correspondence, we have coherence, and now I think we have orders. We have plenty of them in the chapter 3. And then now we go to the chapter 4. You talk about the theory, not theory of truth, but theory of knowledge, epistemology, theory of knowledge, how to know something from epistemology. And how to know something, you have a lot of them too, but some the most important thing, those are the most important for our class specifically, is when we talk about rationalism, when you talk about empiricism, when you talk about scientific method, and you can talk about feminism too. Yeah, you can talk about feminism too. This is one of the way you can learn something through the feminism, because that's one something I remember I had like I have like a Zoom conference with one of the students, and like the student could not fully understand this feminism concept, and then I tried to explain the feminism as a concept. It is not because you as a feminist you want to have equity. You want to have equity with the men. You have the same job. You have to. It's not only that. It's a part of it, of course. But the most important thing as a feminist is because they want to prove, or they want to show, they want to really make sure everyone, when I say everyone, the male figure, whatever, know that they have their own ways to learn with the body. They don't have to follow. They don't have to do the same way as me as a man, or whatever the gender I am. I want to learn, and I want to do things with their body. As a feminist, they want to make sure they use their body in a way that can allow them to empower themselves. That's the word, empower themselves. They don't want to only you give me the same amount of money that you're earning from the same jobs that we are doing, but I want you to know with my body, with whatever the size, whatever what I earn on my body that is different from yours, I can and I have the ability to learn, I have the ability to empower myself, I have the ability to dominate, I have the ability to do whatever the thing you can do on my own ways, not to follow your way of doing it. It's kind of like part of that when you study philosophy. When you study from feminism and philosophy mindset. So we're talking a lot about, I don't want to confuse you guys. Now let's come back to chapter 5. We are talking about idealism. That's where we are. From idealism, we are talking about the fact that there's a correspondence for the book. Has that you have the idea of the book in your mind, and every places you go and you saw something that have the that can correspond to the idea that you have in your mind regarding books, and you call this thing book too. For example, I can call this book, and I can call this book, and call everything that I saw like this book. Okay, idealism, they don't really they will not tell you the reality is made of energy, is made of atoms, or is made of molecules, like the materialism let us believe it. But then they will tell you that everything is made of everything is concept, everything is from the mind, and you use the brain to know really what the reality is. And to continue that, they let you believe that the mental state, ideas, belief, mental state are in something they would call epiphenomena. You remember you study like the phenomenon and the noumena with you remember with whom we studied that in chapter, I think it's still chapter 3 too. And then when we are talking about the reality is something, the reality that you perceive is the phenomenon. And then what is important is the noumena. A noumena came from inside you. And the noumena came from, and then the way the noumena, I would say, explode, give you what we call phenomena. That's something else that can confuse you, and I don't want you to be confused, but it's good to talk about it because that's a resume of the whole 9, I would say, like weeks we've been together. Okay, so like let's go back about really idealism. According to the idealism, everything thinking is to the brain as smoke is to fire. That means for them, in their mind, whatever you can do, it's just from the mind. Nothing comes from the reality. It's from the mind who give you the opportunity, all of that. And they continue to tell you like uh, um, what is really important for us. It's not just you can see, you can touch, you can smell, you can hear, but what is really important is the fact you can comprehend those things. It's the opposite of materialism. You can comprehend the reality the same way you can comprehend justice. You can comprehend what a book is. You can comprehend what a laptop is. And for them, the fact you can use this, your mind to comprehend the reality, and then for them, everything came from the reality. What is real, it comes from the mind, not what you can perceive. And there again, it just lets you understand, okay, so if everything that I can see, everything that I can perceive, they're not really real. What is really the fact that I have the idea of those things. Now, if I stop existing as a human being, what will happen with the world? If there was no human beings anymore right now, you want to tell me that the tree, that the rocks, that the ocean, that the land, those things will stop exist? Because me, as the person who has the mind to perceive, to comprehend them, I'm no longer I would say I don't exist anymore. And therefore, if I was the one that can give existence to those things, and I'm no longer in the world, that means everything that exists stop exists too. Because I am the one that can tell you this thing exists because they are in my mind. But I am no longer. There is no human beings at all on the planet. And at that point, the ocean per se, it's nothing. The ocean per se, I will not even say nothing. Nothing is something. The ocean per se does not exist at all because there is no human beings that can really comprehend it to give existence to this thing. You understand how complicated idealism is? That means it's mostly anthropology in the sense like it is centered to the human, and without the existence of the human being, the thing that exists, the rock, the ocean, the stars, the moon, all of those things, the planets, they stop existing too, because there is no human being that can give existence to those things. Because for the human being, those things exist because they are in their mind, not because they are in the reality, but because they can comprehend them with their mind. You understand? That's the two extremes ways you can see, you can perceive, you can comprehend the reality, or you can give existence to what is real. Now, between those two extremes theories, you have the dualism. The dualism that will let you understand that it is not only thing that you can perceive that exists. It is not only thing that you can comprehend that exists, but it's both together that makes existence. Not only you can perceive things, there are things you can perceive that exist, and then there are other things you can only comprehend that also exist. It just come together, those two really extreme theories from the metaphysical continuum to one, by bringing them like a bridge. It just comes as a bridge for the both together. But you have two types of we did not even talk about this, but it is important. There's two types of idealism, by the way, even before we take the dualism. There's like the subjective idealism, and there's the objective idealism, which is another thing again that's a little bit complicated. Because when you say subjective idealism, that means the truth comes from me, within me. Subjective, that means me as the subject, I gave birth to what we call the reality. But the objective one is the truth came from outside me. I comprehend the truth. I comprehend the tree. I see the book and I try to comprehend it, and from what I see, and I give existence to it. But from the subjective, it's different. Subjective idealism, that means it depends on me. It depends on my state of being. I can see this today, and then the way I am, if, for example, I have Alzheimer, or if I have some really what we call, like, there's a disease where you can see the color. I don't remember whether color blue has color yellow, something like that. Now, if this is like a book, the color of color blue for me, and because of some internal or some personal issues, and I am not able to see it as everyone can see it as a blue, and I see it as yellow. For me, this book is yellow, and this is the reality. That means subjectively, from what I can perceive, I can comprehend, I give birth to this reality, to this book as reality, but in a different way as you can give it. That means subjective. Since it is subjective, it is different from human to another human. Is that clear? So let's continue right now with and I just wanted to the objective. It is clear. Objective, that means object. You see the thing, you give your comprehension, you try to understand it, and it become real. And then now you have the dualism in the middle of those. Try to make sure really not only things that you can physically touch, you can see, you can hear, you can smell that exist, but also things that you can hear, that you but also things that you can comprehend, like justice, like truth, like love, like all of that. And that's where we can more or less trying to stop. But before stopping, I want to talk about one of the dualism, one of the philosopher, the most important for dualism is René Descartes. And René Descartes, what he tell you, he let you understand. He came with like the fact that he tried to doubt about everything around him, and at the end of the day, there was only one thing he could not doubt. He could not doubt about himself doubting. If I doubt this book exists, how can I doubt that I exist? Or I exist, not I exist. I can doubt, of course, this book exists. I can doubt the laptop exists. But it would be difficult, impossible for me to doubt of my own existence. I cannot doubt of what, I cannot be the person, or like the I would say like the person that is doubting, but in the same time I'm doubting about my own self-existence in the same time too. That means if I exist, if I can doubt about this, it's because I exist. How I can doubt about this thing, but in the same time think I don't exist, or doubt that I exist? It's a little bit complicated. I don't know if you understand what I mean. How can it be possible to doubt about this book and the same time doubt about your own existence? You cannot do both together. If you can doubt about this, because you personally you exist. And that's where Descartes was really, I would say, struggling. And at the end of the day, just realized, I think, therefore I am. I doubt, therefore I am. The fact I am able to doubt of the existence of this book gave me my own self-existence. That's really the way you try to understand. And already like 35 minutes, and I don't want to go continue talking. And that's where we understand everything about really this chapter. I'm sorry if I could not really go further with that, but there are a lot of things we could have discussed, and it's basically about Descartes. There are a lot of things, and I hope you can continue like the reading and try to make sure really you understand this chapter very well. And like this, you have a wonderful I would say like break between your summer term, if some of you will take summer class. Otherwise, fall. And then like you guys, as I said, thank you so much. It was amazing. I will tell you again, I was very impressed by all of the progress and all of the hard work you all I've done during this during those 8 plus weeks. And thank you again, and hope to have another class with you. Not because you don't pass this, because you want to take I would say like another like more complicated philosophy class like logic, you say, or ethics. Okay, take care. Bye bye.